Wax Packers. Adam coming at you with another edition of Wax Pack Flashback. Excited to be back here. Especially excited because we're going to be continuing a legacy here with this series. And one of the parts of that legacy is something I wanted to share with you today that I recently received. That is Jason's Batman Returns Trapper Keeper folder. If you've been watching the Wax Pack flashback videos for all these years, you know that this is more than just a cool piece of, retro paraphernalia. This is actually where Jason would keep all the cards that he picked that were his favorites after each video, okay? So I always just thought this was the coolest idea. It's something we've continued. But for every episode of the Wax Pack flashback that he participated in, he was adding his favorite cards. But I decided that I'm going to continue that tradition as well in tribute to Jason. So I added the Vanilla Ice card from our recent Pro Stars Superstars pack. But now we'll be able to keep that piece of TRN history archived and growing. So Aaron, I just want to say thank you so much for making this available to me. It's super awesome. It's very special. And speaking of very special, the pack that we are going to be opening up today is something that I was talking about for a while. We're in the 30th anniversary of this film, so it seemed appropriate. Yes, 1993's The Last Action Hero trading cards, the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, which unfortunately found itself going up against Jurassic Park and kind of tanked at the box office. Although I will tell you, I was there. Yes, I was there opening weekend to see Last Action Hero in the theater. It's a movie I've loved for a long time. In fact, something momentous kind of happened there. While I was watching the movie, there's an early scene where the kid he's in the real world, and he gets pulled into his bathroom, and there's this bully kind of mugging him in his own apartment. It's really kind of intense and scary. And right as he was acting like he was going to attack the kid, all of a sudden the lights in the theater went up. And we had, what's going on here? There was an alarm going off. Somebody had pulled the fire alarm. And so I was just like, what? I don't know what's happening. So it added an extra dimension to my viewing experience. So that everything calmed down. But, it's about breaking, the fourth wall, if you will. It's kind of breaking the reality between the audience and what's going on screen. So I thought that was neat. I also have some special collectibles that I'm going to share in the first part of the video before I actually open the pack. Something that is kind of one of a kind. It's very rare. So let's get into that. What do you say? Okay, so here we are. And like I said, I want to start off with something a little bit special for you. What you're seeing here are some ads. We have comic shop news. We have this ad over here, which is basically promoting a Last Action Hero comic book adaptation, okay? So this was supposed to be a 3-issue series that was going to be released by Topps Comics. Topps, we know very well on this series, right? Purveyors of most of the trading cards that were coming out, especially those based on TV and movies. Well, this particular comic book was never released. Why? Well, like I said, Jurassic Park kind of ate its lunch at the box office, and as a result, they decided just not to release it. It was already delayed in getting drawn and getting everything put together, and they said, well, it's just not going to be worth it at this point. Nobody liked the movie anyway. As a result, though, as you can see there, the 3 issues were supposed to come packed with some trading cards. There were going to be exclusive package trading cards. Trading cards that I happen to own. How did I come to own these? Well, I was kind of obsessed with this unreleased comic book. I wanted to find it, and unfortunately, I found out that, it was never produced, but then all of a sudden, on eBay one day, I saw a lot of cards up for sale, and they were different than the trading cards for the movie I had been collecting. And so after buying them for a very good price, I then contacted the seller and said, how did you come by these? He's like, oh, well, I'm the designer of the cards. I created the cards for Topps. I was like, there was a story there to tell. Can I interview you? Can you please tell me what it was all about? He said, sure. So what was going on is, like I say, that he had them all designed. He was especially designing this back, of the cards, just laying it all out that way. And he had worked on the Marvel Universe trading cards, Marvel Masterpieces, any number of things like that. And so he put all these together. And what happened was when he found out that they weren't actually going to be released, he ended up at the Topps offices. And one of the guys there at Topps said, "Hey, look, you did the work on this. I'm sorry they're not going to be released. What if I just hand you a copy of the 6 cards and you have them for reference, in the future of the work that you've done? But nobody will know that they've disappeared from, this run of cards that we printed up but will never release." And so he had them all those years, and he said, someone else would probably enjoy these more than me. And he was right. So I have these direct from the designer of the cards, and according to him, as far as he knows, there's not another set of these out there. They've never been released. So very exclusive, very fun. And again, I enjoy this movie so much that it was a real thrill. So anyway, there you go. A little bit of Last Action Hero history you might not have known about. But hey, let's get into this pack of cards here, okay? So we have 8 movie cards plus 1 sticker, and look for random holofoil cards. Here's hoping we find ourselves with one of those, right? These were selling for 69 cents. I don't know if that was many years later on the secondary market or when originally they were, at your local shop and they were at the register and people were wanting to buy them. As you can see there's the official Last Action Hero comic book series. There it all is. They tell you that you can get this 3 special cards per issue and all of that. And of course, it did not happen, but for one of us. And that's me. Hey, how about that? So let's get into this here. I also want to mention real quick, though, is I did really like, we're Wax Pack Flashback. This is more of a plastic, look to it. But it always did give it a little extra shine and sheen that was very fun. All right, but I'm going to open these up here. Okay. So let's see what is inside, because I know this movie backwards and forwards, so every moment is exciting for me. Let's see here. Okay, wow! To start off here. Okay, so for those who don't know, if you haven't seen the film or it's been a while, there is a scene after Jack Slater, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie character, comes into the real world. He ends up at the movie premiere for Jack Slater 4, and he runs into all these different, there's Jean-Claude Van Damme is there, Jim Belushi is there, and MC Hammer. And he talks about doing a soundtrack song for him. And he says, anyway, it's just funny to see that they played that here. They don't have his actual quote, but he's like, hey, Slater 5, I'm there, soundtrack? Like, anyway, he's so excited to be a part of it, making a deal on the floor. All right, this one is a very dark card. You can barely tell what's going on there. So let's read about it and see what this story is. Paramedics frantically work on the wounded Slater, but Danny knows what will really help him, getting back into his movie. Danny takes the wheel and crashes through another movie theater on his way to the Pandora. So this is from the climax of the film while you're trying to get Jack Slater back to his movie universe where he can't die. Because, the hero of the franchise never dies. Oh, but now we go to the beginning of the film, a sea of police cars. It's on Christmas. As you can see, there's a Christmas tree at the top of this building. Why? Because this was written partly by Shane Black. It was actually rewritten. There were 2 other guys who wrote the script, and then Shane Black put his polish on it. But anyway, he sets all his movies at Christmas. But the Ripper is taking these students hostage, one of which is Jack Slater's son. And the Ripper is a really fun character in this movie. Oh, there we go right here. So here's lots of rooftop action in this film. I never really even paid attention to this. This is at the funeral for a mobster named Leo the Fart. And yes, Slater somehow he knows about it. I'm trying to remember now, but Leo the Fart is packed with actual explosives, and when you pull his finger, that's what starts the timer. Anyway, he has to jump off the rooftop eventually. Here we go. He is jumping and running for it. I think this is that same scene. Let's see what we're talking about here. Oh, no. So this is when he finds his cousin, his favorite second cousin, Frank, tied up and having been tortured before his house explodes. The fun fact about that is they put too many explosives in that house, and it actually blew out windows all around the block, and people were calling the police and the fire department. Anyway, ticket please. So this is Danny Madigan, who gets the magic ticket from his buddy who runs this old rundown theater, but he says he got it from Harry Houdini. So Nick is kind of an interesting character that he's enabling Danny to ditch school all the time just to watch Jack Slater films. Ooh, now here is a very fun thing. So Danny is in his, I guess it's his English class, and they're talking about Hamlet. And then you see all of a sudden his fantasy of Jack Slater, Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Hamlet, which is pretty hilarious. But the best part about this is they made action figures. Mattel made Last Action Hero action figures, and they made an action figure of this scene with a launching skull bazooka thing. I mean, they were just doing whatever they could to make it into a fun franchise. Oh, and what do you know? Here's the end of that. It was basically, in Danny's mind, cut like a movie trailer. So he does this. He's like, to be or not to be. Not to be. And then there's a big explosion behind him. So that's hilarious. All right, unfortunately, we did not get one of the holofoil cards, but we do get a sticker every pack. And wouldn't you know, it's Benedict, the number one henchman in this movie. Charles Dance is fantastic. You might recall he has a different glass eye in every scene. Sometimes it's a smiley face, sometimes it's a bullseye target. I mean, this guy is a great, great villain. So as you see there, it's a piece of a puzzle where you can actually, I think it just makes this movie poster over there when you put them all together. Actually, I should know because I have a full set of these cards I've collected on my own in the past, but still very awesome to grab this. Man, all right, well, let's take a look and see which one was my favorite. Okay, so we had a very fun pack of Last Action Hero cards. I hope you learned a little bit about the film. Of course, my exclusive cards are not eligible for my decision as to which was the best of the pack. Now, I will say it was cool to get two that kind of connected, having the Hamlet fantasy sequence cards. So that was neat. Of course, the Benedict sticker is always nice. You get your villain. Any good movie has to have a villain. But I will say that for me, you probably heard it in my voice when I saw it pop up first in the pack. That is the MC Hammer cameo card, okay? Because just Hammer was all over the place. He had done the Addams Family soundtrack, and so I think that was why he wanted to be on the Jack Slater soundtrack. But also just the idea that he was merchandising himself a lot these days. He had the Hammerman cartoon. He had the Mattel doll of MC Hammer. I gotta assume he also had his own trading cards. We might have to track those down at some point. But just the idea that he was in this movie, I also wonder, actually, and I think about it, did they have to, pay Hammer to use his likeness in a trading card if he was all about, getting himself out there? Maybe so, but that's the one that is going to make its way into the archive, into the collection, right next to Vanilla Ice. They could have a rap battle. Either way, thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Wax Pack Flashback. We will be back soon with another pack of cards from 1993. We want to keep the 30th anniversary trade rolling before the end of the year while we still can. So I will share something special for you there. And it is unique. It's different. I will just say it's different than Last Action Hero, even though it is from Topps. They went a very different direction with these cards. So something to stay tuned for. But until next time, we'll check you later.